Hey everyone, Mr. Sujano here, your source for gaming, tech, emulation, and open source news. Let's get started. Alright, we'll kick things off talking about Perfect Dark Online, and not playing Perfect Dark on your browser online, but playing it on the Nintendo Switch. And it turns out there are some issues with it. So there's a very interesting thread over on Twitter, or X, by Grassloo00, who lists out what they found wrong with the Perfect Dark release on Nintendo Switch Online. The first thing they noticed is the sound. They say it's way too low compared to the N64. They say the dizzy effect is broken on the Switch, almost making it unplayable. This is instantly noticeable when playing the second level. On Switch, it's almost impossible to navigate just with the first levels of dizziness, and it can get to the point of freezing the screen entirely. Grassloo also has an interesting comparison between the N64 and the Switch here, and says on Perfect Dark, guns would emit smoke from the barrel after firing full auto or fast enough for a bit. This causes the Switch version to lag, while the N64 version was mostly unaffected by this. And on top of all of that, they pointed out even more issues with glitches and textures and even more. Even the online multiplayer is apparently not a great experience if you're not close to the individual. So let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below. I have not played Perfect Dark on NSO yet, so I can't comment on this, but if you have, let me know your experiences with it. Next up, this one's a quick one. Infidelity, who is well known for porting games from the NES to the SNES, has just ported something pretty interesting. They have ported Zelda II, The Adventure of Link, from the NES to the SNES. Now, it's currently in a beta stage, but based on their speed here, I'm assuming a full-blown release pretty soon. If you are curious about this one and possible other works by Infidelity, I'll drop a link to his Twitter account or X account in the description below, and feel free to check it out. Next up, we're talking about Limited Run games, and Limited Run just had a pretty big game showcase with a whole lot of games I think a lot of people will be interested in. One of them is Fighting Force. They're releasing the Fighting Force collection, which includes Fighting Force 1 and Fighting Force 2. Additionally, they've dropped trailers for a whole bunch of different games, including Gex Trilogy, Ghosts, Double Shake, Fear Effect, Rugrats Adventures in Gameland, Tomba Special Edition, Tomba 2, and Clock Tower Rewind. While it's no secret that Limited Run has been in the center of a few controversies recently, they do produce stuff digitally. So if you're not comfortable buying something physical from them, they do have digital storefronts, for example, right on Steam. I'll drop a link to their YouTube page in the description below, and feel free to check it out if you wanted to see some of those trailers. Some of those games are launching in 2024, some in 2025. And I am curious about a few of them. Let me know your thoughts about any of those games showcased in the comments below. Next up, we're talking about Tor, and Tor has just released Tor Browser 13.5. So for Android, they've completely replaced the connection screens with a new native implementation. They say this is a welcome and necessary first step in their longer-term efforts to bring connection assist to Android. Now for PC, there's also been a handful of tweaks and updates, but this is very important. Tor Browser 13.5 will be the final major version of Tor Browser to support Windows 8.1 and older, and macOS 10.14 and older. They say following Tor Browser 14.0's release in Q4 this year, users of these platforms will no longer receive important updates. So if you are on an older operating system, it may be time to update. And if for some reason your computer does not support a newer version of something like Windows, then maybe you can try something like Linux. Next up, this one's a real interesting one, and one I wish I could say I was surprised to see. But apparently over in Italy, Privacy Shield 2.0 IPTV blocking costs will be paid by Italian taxpayers, and not the companies that want them. If you are curious about this one and wanted to learn more about it, I'll drop a link to the Torrent Freak article in the description below, and I do recommend checking it out. Now, in my opinion, this paragraph kind of sums everything up. Basically, Italy's Piracy Shield IPTV blocking system is retiring at the end of the year, and it's going to be replaced with Piracy Shield version 2.0. They say year one running costs of €2 million will be paid by Italian taxpayers, rather than the main beneficiaries, some of the world's most famous football clubs. In my opinion here, who's ever asking for this should be paying for it, and I don't necessarily think the everyday citizen cares about this stuff rather than the corporations. But let me know your thoughts about it in the comments below. And speaking about corporations, we lightly talked about this one a while back, but now it seems to have happened. Kaspersky products are now banned in the US. There was a bunch of rationale that went into this, and the big thing was over Russia ties. And interestingly enough, both sides of the government, Republican and Democrat, agreed on it. For those who may be unaware, back in 2017, in pre-COVID times, a completely different world, the US government banned Kaspersky for federal agencies because of security concerns. Apparently, this is not just the ban of Kaspersky antivirus, but also the ban of all services Kaspersky supplies, even the white label stuff. So towards the end of July, Kaspersky will no longer be for sale in the US. And on September 29th, which is 100 days after the publication, Kaspersky can no longer be downloaded, updated, or licensed. Next up, this one's a quick one, and just a friendly heads up that Freshly Frosted is 100% free on the Epic Game Store. If you are curious about this one, you can pick it up for free until June 27th. Next up, we're talking about Fightcade, and Fightcade just had a massive update. Enjoy nearly 2 years of improvements made since the last update and immensely improved online performance in Naomi and Dreamcast games. For those who may be unaware, Fightcade is a free all-in-one gaming platform to play a whole bunch of old arcade games online, and it's very popular and it does work very well. So for Final Burn Neo, it reads inputs multiple times per frame to prevent input drops, which is a pretty huge feature. They've also adjusted the turbo auto-fire detection to avoid some false positives, for example, pressing the buttons real fast. They fixed visual glitches in CPS2 background sprites and also fixed online dip switches, and even more. This new version of Fightcade also includes updates to Flycast Dojo to version 6.30, and I'm pretty sure we talked about this one in a previous video. I could be wrong though. Anyways, Flycast Dojo is a fork of Flycast designed for netplay. Fightcade is available for Windows, Mac, and Linux, and if you wanted to learn more about it, I'll drop a link to it in the description below and feel free to check it out. I will say though, playing online, there's a lot of very experienced players. If you're new to one of these arcade games, you may get whooped online pretty good. Next up, we're talking about a brand new FPGA system that's just been announced. It's called the Neptune. I don't know a whole lot about this one yet, other than what I found in this article. It's being showcased at Gamescom very soon. It is a Brazilian console, and taking a look at the shell of this thing, and it looks not expensive. In fairness though, the FPGA in this one is pretty limited. It's said to play Sega Mega Drive, 32X, and Sega CD games, and we'll know more about it on June 30th. Let me know your thoughts about this one in the comments below, and would you be interested in one if the price was right? And last up here is just a friendly heads up. We're talking about video game Esoterica, and our resident copyright and trademark law expert has a brand new video up. It's called Nintendo Strikes with More DMCA Takedowns, and it's getting ridiculous. I'll drop a link to the video in the description below. He goes over a whole bunch of information here, including the most recent DMCA by Nintendo taking down a whole bunch of sheet music. But anyways, that is all I've got for you in this one. Straight to the point, all stuff and no fluff. We talked about a bunch today. Let me know your thoughts about absolutely any of it in the comments below. If you liked this video, leave a like. If you didn't like this video, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button, check out my other videos. Don't tempt fate, save your state.